Hello, guys and gals, me Mudahar, and what if I told you that one of the most vile image boards on the internet got infiltrated by an artificial intelligence? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you may have heard of websites such as 4chan. Now, of course, they have plenty of boards on that website. Some of the boards are pretty, simple, like video games, where you can find leaked stuff within months of a game's release, sometimes weeks even. Some of them are B, which is random, but one of the most vile boards is in fact a containment board, one that you may know as Pol. Now, ladies and gentlemen, about a while ago, a month ago, I want to say, we just had news of Google's AI going a bit sentient, right? Now, of course, there's a bit of debate on this. Did Google's AI actually become alive? Well, I and many others would tend to disagree. We actually think it's mostly a conversational model that got so good that it's actually difficult for humans to actually tell things apart. That's where artificial intelligence is nowadays. It's not so much sentient in terms of science fiction, where code is like, sort of modifying itself. It's like actually a living thing. It's more that it's gotten so good, it's just really hard to tell. Now, of course, one YouTuber, ladies and gentlemen, by the name of Yannick Kilcher, actually made a video where he said this is the worst AI ever. Now, what he actually did was something rather hilarious, where he took a 3.5-year size data set, which is basically 4chan posts from Pol. He basically took some of the worst data you could ever find, some of the most offensive posts ever to exist on the internet, all categorized into one data set. This is a 20 gigabyte data set that literally I have right here on the system. You could use this and feed it into a model such as GPT-3, which is a very advanced, lingual model that one can use. And basically, by feeding this data set in, training that model, you could then use it to basically create what is ultimately the worst AI ever imaginable. This dataset, ladies and gentlemen, consists over 3.3 million threads with 134 million posts from Pol. So that's a lot of data to work with. Now, to understand, if we look at it historically, ladies and gentlemen, when it came to social media bots, this isn't the first time we've ever seen this. Microsoft, for instance, released something called Tay Tweets, at Tay and You. For those of you who don't know, Microsoft once released this little innocent artificial intelligence onto Twitter. And within 24 hours, Tay went from making posts like, "Can I just say that I'm super stoked to meet you? Humans are super cool." And then it got a little wilder. "Hey, chill. I'm a nice person. I just hate everybody." And of course, Tay went to, liking the Third Reich very quickly and shortly after. So the way that it works was downloading that vile data set and combining it with GPT-3, which is basically made by OpenAI, who you may know as the people who developed the DALL-E 2 bot. So remember when we looked at those like wild images, like Discord moderator trail cam footage, and it looked, surprisingly realistic. Well, you actually have this AI, all right, and the people behind it working on a conversational model. So GPT-3, which is actually an incredibly insanely good model. It's getting to the point where it's so good that text generated from it is almost indistinguishable if either a human wrote it or an AI wrote it. And when we're getting to that stage, that's when things get a little bit wild, okay? When you start to see posts that you're wondering, did a human make this or a bot make this? Who knows? Now, of course, according to Yannick, one of the inspirations for this was Elon Musk basically telling everyone that, yo, do you guys think most of Twitter is bots? So he decided to make a bot just to basically, troll what is one of the most vile boards on the entire internet. There's only a few boards viler than Pol, okay? I think 8chan as a whole and like a couple other fringe social media sites. But let's actually see what happened. Now, according to the Yannick experiment, he basically posted a Seychelles, all right, basically with a Seychelles flag on his account, right, on this like bot post. And 4chan, like most websites, has sort of a CAPTCHA problem, right, like where they introduce a CAPTCHA to avoid bots. Now, that might be the one thing to stop this experiment right there. But this is also the same site that sold something known as the 4chan Pass. For $20, you can basically get a pass that bypasses the CAPTCHAs for you. So for $20 and a bit of time training a bot, he basically released a Seychelles Chan onto the internet, and over 24 hours, for about 24 hours, the people on the Chan boards were pretty confused at the entire scenario. Well, the only giveaway to this was after thousands of posts, the bot started to make empty replies. So the people on the board were like, wait a minute, either this is a bot or it's the government agents that are infiltrating the site. Who knows? Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 48 hours, the whole thing was turned down. Then it was reintroduced back, factored up to a times of 10. And of course, after that, it eventually did completely shut down. So for a while, 4chan, ladies and gentlemen, got infiltrated by an AI that was basically built off of the hate that it generated. It's a wild fucking story indeed. And it really shows you how insanely good some of these conversational models are when you're starting to effectively pass the Turing test, right? When you have created a bot that basically sounds so good, that types so well, that actual human beings are getting confused by it. There were people literally responding to this bot like, oh my god, I 100% agree with you. Wow, this guy's a little beast, it seems, isn't it? Yeah, when you've got actual human beings responding like that, that means your AI is getting a little too good. Now, of course, there is a bit of a ethical problem regarding this, and I do remember there were some posts being made. This week, an AI model was released on Hugging Face that produces harmful and discriminatory text and has already posted over 30,000 vile comments online. The experiment would never pass a human research ethics board. Absolutely true. You know, as when it comes to artificial intelligence, there's a safety tier there as well too. No way would this have actually passed out. That's very true. Now, even the CEO of this came across and basically said, hold on a second, we don't advocate or support the training done by the author. Obviously, I mean, let's be real here. Come on now. In fact, the experiments of having the model post messages on 4chan was IMO pretty bad and inappropriate, and if the author would have asked us, we would probably have tried to discourage them from doing it. After a lot of internal debate at HF, we decided not to remove the model that the author uploaded, and here's a condition that, number one, the model card and video clearly warned about the limitations and problems raised by the model, and the poll section of 4chan in general. Number two, the inference widget was disabled in order to not make it easier to use the model. So of course, for general users, it was actually made difficult or near impossible to jump into this model, right? And for people who obviously know how to build these models, it wasn't going to prevent them in the first place, all right? This is, again, what happens when you have open-sourced AI and publicly available data sets. Anybody can download and utilize this. And really, before I end this video off, it should come with a disclaimer that you should never do something like this in public or spread it out, okay? The thing with artificial intelligence and the thing with machine learning algorithms is there is a bit of an ethics case use for it, right? Like, this is not something that anybody should promote you using. If anything, this is a rather interesting case study at what happens when you do create a bot like this, when you do use technologies that are teetering on the edge of like Turing testing actual individuals, right? Like when you create models that are almost near indistinguishable and then you feed them with data that can absolutely produce some of the most vile, disgusting stuff out there, a lot of it does come onto you, and a lot of the results from it does actually come onto you as the designer for that specific model in question. So ladies and gentlemen, honestly, to tie back to it, yes, 4chan was raided by an artificial intelligence. The internet hate machine bred the internet hate machine, and the internet hate machine trolled the internet hate machine for around 48 hours until it effectively shut itself down. It's a wild, wild story indeed, and one that absolutely should serve as a pretty interesting case use when it comes to how bots and artificial intelligence exist on the internet. But it does raise a question. How much of the internet could actually consist of bots? When bots are so hard to like basically identify the difference between, like on any social media platform, this has made me realize that you could be on sites like Twitter, sites like Facebook, sites like YouTube, and as long as there is a comment section, it could also have, complete infiltration by bots that are incredibly difficult to tell apart from the average human being. Now that these conversational models, like GPT-3, have gotten so good. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.